this is JJ Humphrey. We're back on Elephant in the Room. Hey, today Bob got sick, so Bob is not feeling well. So Bob, we hope you get feeling better. And so I reached out to Andrew Hayes. Andrew has been on here once before with us when he was running for Congress. And Andrew is going to start his own show, Alliance with Andrew Hayes. That's going to be coming up. Andrew, do you know how to get on that yet, or what time you going to be showing yet?
No, I don't, and we don't have a schedule picked out really. The website is getting worked on, but what you can do is you can search for it on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. All right, so just right now I'm doing Facebook Lives like I've been doing, and you can come on, join me there, and tell me about how I'm wrong or whatever.
Well, and if y'all need to, you can get on. We'll be announcing it again on Elephant in the Room, kind of getting him off and running. So we'll be announcing that, as well as you may want to go to my webpage. I would encourage you always to go to my webpage. Hey, share that with as many people. We've got a whole lot of things. We've got the Elephant in the Room there. OCP, I don't know if we're going to continue to do that. If not, we'll find something else. But we also got Capitol Exposed. Now, that's going to be a cartoon, how we're doing the Capitol, and we're going to work on that, try to improve it as we get into session. We generally have some other videos on there, other information. So JJ, the number 4, JJ, number 4, OK.com, JJ4OK.com. And if you go on that, share that when you get to that webpage. We got a little funny. We're wanting to start that all over the state. Everywhere I go, people say, JJ, give them hell, or I'll go into a restaurant, hey, give them hell. And so we're going to change that from give them hell to give them Humphrey. So when you get on there, that's what you're going to be looking at. Share that, and we can get Andrew's information up on that webpage and let y'all know when his program will start. We're excited about that. But one of the things that I did today, since Bob was sick, Andrew's got a little experience. He's a cowman, kind of like myself, but he's also worked there in the private prison, which is there in Lawton. So he's got a little bit of knowledge about the Department of Corrections. And so when Bob got sick, I was able to just reach out to him. And so, I mean, when we're talking last minute, we're talking within the last 15 minutes, and he was kind enough just to jump on here and share with us. And so today what we're going to be talking about is the Department of Corrections. It's one of my more favorite subjects. But today what we want to talk about, Andrew, I found a case, and this is just, it's almost unbelievable. I presented it at the Capitol, but I haven't come on to the Elephant in the Room and talked about it. But I've got a brand new piece of evidence I found in this case. And so I'm just going to share it with everybody, and you just jump in if you got a question. But we had a guy named Markel Ross, and he's an inmate. And what happened, he got caught in stealing a car. Now, I went back and even pulled his criminal report. So I went back and the actual crime, I went back and pulled. This guy was walking down the street, according to the victim, got in the car. Now, I don't know, he may have been a watch out or something. You'd have to go investigate. But it's quite possible this guy's walking down the street, gets picked up by the guy who stole the car. But anyways, when the police bust him, he gets charged with stealing a vehicle. So he gets DA probation, which, guys, DA probation is a joke. There is no probation. So they accelerate him, meaning he was on the lowest you could get. They accelerate him for not reporting. And I called him and I said, y'all's writing him up for changing his residence. Did you go down there and check? Nope, we never went personally and checked. Well, did you send him a letter? Nope, we tried to call him. I said, well, what if his phone's broke? What if he can't afford a phone? I mean, not everybody has a phone, So they accelerate him. Now, there's never a report done so you're supposed to be able to confront your witnesses, your accusers, according to the Constitution. You're supposed to be able to confront your accusers. No report in there. Who knows who filed what? Again, here's the DA just saying, accelerate him, send him to prison because we say so. I got an issue, and now I know you're a big constitutional type person. I know that about you, Andrew. So here's the deal. In this system, we have a right to a fair and unbiased court system. When the DAs charge $40 for every person that they charge a crime with, when they can get the probation for those people, and they're making $40 a month, so like $480 a year on that person, and most of them get 2 years, so they're going to get $960. That don't seem fair and impartial. So if I'm making money so I'm going to decide whether to charge you. So I'm sitting here looking at your case, and I'm going, well, you punched an old boy down there. Now, used to, we kind of look and say, well, maybe that old boy needed punching, or maybe that old boy comes in and says, I just soon dropped the whole deal. Well, guess what? They used to would drop that. Anymore, going to file charges on you. Why? Because I'm going to make $960. Then they insert themselves into the whole system, saying, we'll offer you DA probation. So we're going to offer you ourselves DA supervision to keep you. And again, we'll offer you a sweet deal. You don't want to take it to court because we'll put you in prison, or you can take our little deal. They make $40 a month. Then if they decide you violated in any other system, you write a report and you send it to the DA, and the DA is the fair and impartial person because they don't have anything in the fight. They're fair and impartial. Now the DAs write themselves and say, he did it. Well, you think they're going to argue with that? So everything they write, and if you go back and look, everything's based on money. If it's failure to appear, what they're talking about is you didn't pay your money.
Yeah, so, I got to just ask and clarify.
Lay it on.
This part, are you saying that $40 a month goes to the district attorney's department, or is that going to him as some kind of a bonus?
Nope. That's a good question, because used to it would go straight to the DAs. And then this little cowboy, there's this little short cowboy that jumped up and raised hell with them about, so here's what's funny. They actually got sued over all this. So they appealed it to the highest court, the appellate court. And the appellate court said the $40 fee must be used for the actual act of supervision during the applicable period of time that the offender is on supervision. Meaning the money has to be used to supervise that person, to try to help that person. And it has to be real, genuine supervision. The DAs are not doing any supervision. So if I charge you a fee for a service that I claim to be doing that I don't do, guess what that's called?
Fraud.
It's called fraud every day.
But JJ, just hang on. Think about this from this old boy's perspective. Look, put yourself in that situation. You get jammed up by the DA. You're in a. Here's the thing. It's just like you say. You can't fight it. If any one of us gets charged with one of these low-level misdemeanor type crimes, it's really a felony. But what they're going to do is like what you say. They're going to reduce it down to a misdemeanor. They're going to say, hey, you know what? Take your 18 months probation. After 18 months, it'll all go away. It won't even be on your record. But if you fight it, you're looking at 5 years in prison.
Right.
So
what are you going to do? What are you? I mean, are you going to go hire a lawyer? Guess what? You're going to go hire a lawyer, spend $5,000 to get a lawyer, and then maybe you win, maybe you don't. Probably don't. No, you're going to take the deal all day long.
Right. So you're that guy, and now you're paying for this supervision. But do you want them supervising you, or do you want to be left alone? Because this supervision is not for your benefit. That's for them to supervise you and catch you doing something that you're not supposed to do. So then they can escalate it, get more money out of you, send you to prison, run you through the system.
And it's supposed to, if we had a system like really supposed to, it would be built in to try to keep you. We should have a system that tries to keep people from going to the prison, tries to get people employed. That's the number one thing. If you want to know, number one thing to change substance abuse, criminal behavior, put their butts to work. Is our program set up to make anybody work? No, because that's what supervision ought to be. You're going to work. If you ain't going to work, we're going to put you in jail. Because guess what? If we put you in jail, we're going to stop you from getting another crime. But again, we shouldn't be putting people in jail over, you know what I'm saying? We should use that as a motivator. Look here, we're going to get you trained. We're going to get you out there. And again, we shouldn't be putting every crime. When I started, guess what? We didn't even mess with misdemeanor. You got a misdemeanor. And that's what Say used to when I started. The DA would go, you know, say me and you got in a fight. And I went down there and said, well, he did punch me in the head, but I did call him an SOB and I probably needed punched in the head. Or I threw a bottle at him or something. You know what I'm saying? Both of them got two sides of the story. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, the DA back there, when I started to go, we threw out half the case. You know what I'm saying? It was just, hey, if you two can cut this, you know, both y'all want this gone, we'll just dismiss it. And my worst case, maybe every once in a while, they'd make you pay the court costs, you know, for making us go through court, which is reasonable. I mean, that's what ought to be done. Kind of get you a little $200 fine for, you know, y'all acting up. And hey, that's reasonable. But again, now they've dropped all these 780 crimes that used to be a felony down to a misdemeanor. So I don't have a problem. People who have meth or people who have some serious stuff, supervising who stole $1,000, they ought to be supervised. But again, what's happening, we're not even looking at this. This guy's case looks like if he'd had a good attorney, who knows? But at the end of the day, that's what's happening. They're just going DA probation, DA probation, DA probation, and nobody's fighting it, and everybody's getting this, and it's a joke in our whole system. And then they jump up and accelerate him without making any effort to try to actually go find the guy, do anything with him to try to prevent him from going to prison. Now, this is a guy that's 20-something years old, no record. So again, not some guy that's a gangbanger that's had a whole bunch of stuff, no record. So they accelerate him. He goes to the penitentiary. Now, when he goes to penitentiary, and you worked in there, you're going to know I'm right on this. 2 years, nonviolent, no record. This guy's going to be minimum security. This guy's going to be community, and he's going to be out within a year. You know what I'm saying? Nobody does their full time. So he's going to be out within a year. So here he is. And I landed on some of the paperwork through his family that actually snapshot some of this. We found where his picture, DOC webpage and all that they had him set to get out on 7/5 of 24. Now, I'm going to tell you something. That seems extremely long to me, 7/5, but that's what they had. Now, here's where the fun part starts, or here's the interesting, not fun at all, bad choice of words, interesting part. On September the 13th, the family gets an email, really important email from a third-party vendor, somebody who works for DOC, I think it's a Canteen, and they send the email to the family saying that this young inmate was being sent to higher security. Doesn't say what higher security, just he's going to higher security. Now, I checked, and it seems like that third-party vendor is generally about 4 days behind. So, again, most of the time, when he gets moved, they have to process everything. And generally, from what I've heard, they're about 4 days behind. I can't prove that, but it's always good to remember. 13th, they get an email. Generally, that email is going to be a few days behind. Okay, meaning he probably got sent up there generally, around the 10th or something like that, possibly the 9th. So September 9th, 10th is when I would think he probably got sent to higher security. But on the 19th, September the 19th, a guy that's at OSP, an inmate at OSP, gets a hold of his family, and he has his family get a hold of this inmate Ross's family to report to them that inmate Ross has been killed, that he's dead. Now that's on the 19th. The family calls the funeral home, because there's one funeral home deals with all the inmates and stuff. They call that funeral home and find out that he was fixing to be cremated. He's going to be cremated. So 13th, they get an email. 19th, they get called from an inmate family. He's dead. 19th, they get a hold of the funeral home. Then they call DOC, and DOC says, well, he died the 17th. So he died on the 17th. Well, they get to dealing with the funeral home to get his body back and have services. And the funeral home tells them they got his body on September the 12th. Now, you want to talk about wow. So why would DOC lie and say that it was on the 17th? Now, DOC comes back and says, we can't contact the family. We had no way. They say, oh, we tried all these ways to contact the family. Well, now that's strange, because the people you have working for you, after I brought this out, they said, well, that's a third-party contractor got a hold of them. Okay, all right, I'll go with that. But the third-party contractor works for guess who? Who they contracting with? DOC. So how are they getting all their records? How are they getting to contact these people? And why can they do it and DOC can't?
So I just have a question.
Later.
You know, I don't trust the government. Don't trust them for nothing.
Yeah, me and you's on the same page.
But let's just say, how do we know that that funeral home received the body on the 12th and not the 22nd? Because people outside of government make mistakes every once in a while too. How do you know it's the 12th and not the 22nd?
Well, what I did after I found out, I called the medical examiner, and it turns out they did send the body to the medical examiner, and then they got the body to the funeral home. But the body, and I did get some other. I have verified, at least on record, it does look like he died on the 12th. The body was sent to, and the funeral home people picked it up, hauled the body to the medical examiner, got it back on, and was going to do a cremation. I think is the way all that works. Again, I need to get the records. I've requested their actual records. And so what you do when you get their records, being like you, I don't take nothing for fact. Right. When I get the record, but at least I got, okay, this is where we're going from, and I go to prove it either is true or it's not true.
Well, so presumably you have a date from not only the funeral home, but also the medical examiner that they handled the body prior to the date that the DOC says the old boy was killed.
Right. Well, the DOC's lying. It's definitely not 17. They lied. And here's the thing, why I believe the family on that. The family tells me who told them, who at DOC was handling this. And I managed to hook and crook my way and find some information. I don't have all the information I need, but I'm pretty good at finding information. And so I do know the person they told them was a person involved in this case. So it does seem like that their story does line up, that DOC did tell them 17th. And why is DOC lying about that? Why would they lie to this family? So right off the bat, things seem pretty sketchy. Then they say, well, we couldn't get a hold of you. We tried to get a hold of you. Well, again, how is it that this third-party contractor, I got 2 emails from the third-party contractor to the family so they could get a hold of them. Why can't you get a hold of them? That seems pretty sketchy as well, So again, then if you go back and look at their own records, they're saying that he should discharge 7.5. And then, like I say, this, I know this. Anybody that's dealt with how are you going to have a 2-year nonviolent, no record, and they're saying, well, he assaulted an officer? I know right now multiple cases assaulted an officer, and they ain't an OSP. So again, how is it that happened? And we need to know, when did he go to OSP? What night was he put in this cell? Does the person that they put him in the cell with have a history of violence against inmates? What time was he put in that cell? I'd want to see the videos, see what time he was put in that cell, because if he was put in there at midnight, that means somebody had bad intentions for him, stuck him in there just to have him beat, and it went bad, So there's a lot of stuff that we don't know on this.
So another thing, and I said a minute ago, I don't trust the government, but that's not to say that they're always lying. They're probably only lying about half the time. The other half the time, they're just completely incompetent and can't do anything right. So my question is, do you think this is like a full-blown cover-up, or are they just incompetent? Did they get the date wrong?
Here's what I'm looking at the thing, and this is what I'd like to know. I'm wondering if this young man pissed somebody off. They put him in a cell to have him beat, and it went a little bit too far, and now they're trying to cover it up. Or if they just messed up, like you say, incompetence, left him in there too long. They're shorthanded, left him in there too long, put him in the wrong spot. Now he's dead. Now we got to cover up our incompetence. And I'd kind of lean a whole lot towards a little bit of both of what you're talking about. Probably starts for incompetence, and now we got to cover up the incompetence. So, but I do believe, because here's where it gets really interesting. And you working in a prison, not everybody's going to understand about prison write-ups, okay? So in prison, you guys listening, in the prison, you got what we call write-ups. And so we got Class A, Class B, Class X. Class X is one of the worst, and you can have time taken away and things like that because you get wrote up. For instance, write up drugs, contraband, phones, unauthorized area, all kinds of things you can be. So the way to think of those, that's kind of like a little ticket out there. That's a DOC ticket they're giving to you. And the more serious the ticket, the more things they can do, taking away time, taking away your canteen, all these kind of privileges. Okay. Well, in investigating this, they don't ever file any criminal charges. So the event happened 9/12. As of like 10/19, I was looking and they didn't. So I requested all these records after I got all what I could by myself without them knowing. Then I requested a formal request for records, which, by the way, we're now into November. So that was done in October. We're now into November, almost all the way through November. Chairman of Corrections can't get even a report on this. And by the way, you'll find this pretty interesting. They wrote me a letter and said about 6 months ago, they said, as per your House leadership agreement, that we've reached an agreement with your House leadership, and you can no longer, talking to me, you can no longer have any records. And that if you want records, you must come to the headquarters and you can view them, but you can't record anything, you can't do anything, and you will have to sign a non-disclosure saying you will not talk about whatever you see. And then they said the reason they're doing this is because I put out non-public information. So I released non-public information. Well, first, I don't ever know what non-public information. They didn't give me any information, so I didn't release anything. That's a lie. Second is, if it's public records, it doesn't matter. You can not like me. You can think I released something I shouldn't have. If it's public record, you don't have a choice. Public record's public record. You have to release it. Me as a elected official shouldn't have to beg you to get this. So it's public record. Anybody can get it. So again, to admit to admit that you've made an agreement with House leadership, you conspired to violate the law. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
All right, so let me jump in here, and folks, this ties back to the Julian Assange thing, all right, and the whole WikiLeaks deal, and I don't know. After I get done explaining it to you, you'll be on my side. It's not up to, because see, the thing is, my friend, you're also a member of the press. That's what you're doing right here. You're a member of the press, so it's not up to you to figure out what's public, what's classified, what's this, what's that. It's up to the government to keep what's classified classified. And if they fail to do that, and it falls into the hands of a journalist, that journalist has every right to publish it because the government didn't do the job that they said was their job. If it's so classified and if it's so important, then y'all should keep it under lock and key, and it shouldn't get into the hands of a journalist. Once it gets into the hands of the journalist, it's freedom of speech, baby, freedom of the press. And if they publish it, they're not to be held.
Andrew, here's what's funny. They're mad because I got some of their copies of some of their reports. Now, I didn't get it from them. I actually had to go out deep cover. I had to go out for a you know what I'm saying, dark ops. You know what? I had to go out to, I mean, the middle of the woods to get these things. But I got them. I didn't get them from them. So when I release this, guess what? And here's what's even funnier, Andrew. I called them and said, hey, you got this going on, which was a human rights violation. Hey, you got this going on. Nope, JJ, it's not happening. I'm like, okay. So I turned it over to a reporter. And the reporter found, I think, 19 situations where it had happened and up to 9 days where he'd locked people in a 2x2 cell. That's what they're bad about. But here's the deal. They can't go and conspire with House leadership and say, we're not giving Humphrey any records. That is a violation. Carries a year in county jail. It's a violation of the Open Records Act. And then for them to say, we're going to make you sign a non-disclosure, not only did they violate open records, but they conspired with House leadership, according to them, we'll see if they're liars, conspired with House leadership to violate open records. But then the House leadership and them conspired to stop me from reporting to the public, which is what I was elected to do. Again, we're fixing to get into all of that. But here's what I did on 1019. I requested those records on this case. Well, on 1021, guess what they went and did? They ran down there and filed charges, murder charges. Now, up to that point in time, they don't know it, but I know they were going to file what they call a Class X3, killing another human. Now, who would have ever dreamed that you would even have such a critter? You know, a Class X3, killing another human. Why would you have that? Because that is a murder charge. You don't write somebody a little ticket on that. You file murder. Plus, here's what's insane. They're investigating their own murders. You want to talk about cover up? You know, hey, I'll investigate myself. I'll get cleared every day. You know what I mean? It's insane. So I'm pissed on this thing. But now let me throw you the most interesting. Here's where it gets really. Every time I think, hey, it can't get no better. They just do something. Here's what I want. If any of you DOC leaders, hey, director, if you're listening today, whatever you're smoking up there, share it because it's got to be good. I'm telling you, it's got to. You know what I mean? Give me a bowl of it because, man, I want to get out of this world, out of my mind, you know, like y'all. Because here's what they did. They went back and changed the discharge date. It was funny. They changed it when it first come out, and they changed it to 9/12, which was the date he died. And so I got out publicly and go, hey, y'all, this ain't the discharge date. That's the date of death. Y'all got it all wrong. That's the date of death. Okay, so then they changed it again. Now, Andrew, you're going to love this. They changed it to 11/19/23. 11/19/23. Guess what? That's darn near 1 year in advance. So according to them on this last deal, and I got, hey, y'all run down there and take it off real quick because I done snapshot it. Y'all do whatever you want. I've done got pictures. I done got verification. And so here's the deal. They went in there and wrote he should have got out 11 months or 10 months prior to that. So here's the deal. According to their last deal, they should have let him out 10 months earlier, 11 months earlier, whatever it was. Wow. And here he is dead. Here he is at OSP. What's he doing after he should have been discharged at OSP? It is insane. And that's what we've got. We're looking at all of that right now. And I've done got a lawyer. I called an old lawyer up. I laughed. I said, he's married. And he's about 68 years old. I called him up and I said, hey, I need you to do me a favor. And he said, what? And I said, I need you to go get you a girlfriend, and I need you to get her pregnant, and I need you to have a male child. And he said, what? Have you lost your mind? I said, go get you a girlfriend, get her pregnant, have a male child. He goes, what are you talking about, JJ? I said, the case I'm about to give you, you're going to want to have a male child to name JJ. I'm going to give you such a good case. You're going to want to name a son after me, you know? So I laughed. He's like, well, how you going to prove this? I'm like, oh, I can prove that. I prove this. I prove this. Hey, and I will tell you, I've made a lot of cases for a lot of lawyers. This right here is, I ain't never seen a winner like you've said. This is a winning case all day long. I believe the Department of Corrections is going to get sued massively on this. We just got that one I was telling you about, the showers. They locked these dudes in a 2x2 cell, would not let them have food, water, no bathroom privileges. I mean, my gosh, held one in there 9 days. And again, I'm you know what I'm saying? I've put more people in jail than Carter got Oates, but you're professional. You do what's right. You don't lock people in a 2x2 cell. That's called human rights violation. We just got accepted into federal court on those violations. So this one on top of it, wow.
I worked in segregation a very, very little bit. About the most extreme thing I saw was the guy didn't want to get out of the shower. He wouldn't cuff up to get out. Well, he's already in seg. He's in the shower. What are we going to do to him? Are we going to have a fight? And, what are we going to do? So we left him in there. He was in there for a while.
Yeah, but that's his own. You know what I'm saying? And again, if you need to, you can go down there and get him out. But let's see if let's see what he does. And sometimes you got to go down there and put a little pepper on him and help him make up his mind to come on out of there. You want to hear something funny? Used to our seg, our disciplinary deal was is down there and it had windows. And in the wintertime, it was easy to do. When they do something like that, I'd go, I'll just pop this window opener for you. I'll come back in about 10 minutes. Y'all about ready to come out there? Oh, yeah. Okay, throw the window back up. All right, we're all good. Let's go. So there's ways you can work around that. We know, and Andrew, you know this working in there. It's a tough job. You're dealing with people who don't want to follow rules, who break every rule. You're dealing with some violent people, but you use your head. You stay calm. There's more. You know what I'm saying? If you need to, go get 2 or 3 officers. And you know what I was always, hey, you going to go. I mean, you can go the easy way or you can go the hard way. Don't matter to me. I get paid the same way, But most of the time I can talk them into, hey, you know what? Can you just do that on Andrew's shift and not do it on my shift?
Some of it though, unless you're going to be just a complete, a Barney Fife character,
right?
If you go in there and make their life hard over every little thing, then you're going to get a lot of pushback. You're going to make your job hard. If you go in there and it's like, all right, well, you're allowed 3 boxes of ramen and you got 5 boxes, whatever. You're not running a store because you have a couple extra boxes.
Right. And you also say, now you do know I can write you up for that. but me and you gonna be good. So the day I do have to write you on something, I don't want to hear I picked on you. I have not given you a break. Brother's giving you a break right now, and they get that. They understand that. And so if
Right.
you're reasonable, they're gonna be reasonable. You
But
got a job, dude. They understand that.
honestly, all that being said, that wasn't a hard job. I didn't, and I didn't work there a long time. The thing of what I felt like made it hard, and you talk about politics, and keep in mind it's been 15 years since I worked out there, but oh, dude, the politics
Oh,
was
it's
more than
unreal.
what I could handle. On the staff side, the staff had so many issues with their cliques and their favorites and the groups, and uh, well,
Andrew, you know what's funny? I have rarely ever talked to anybody that works in DOC that had an issue. If you go out here in the public, man, how do you work with all them inmates? How you do? How you take it? Guess what? You go talk to most of your officers and most of your employees. Very few of them will have issue with the inmates because they expect the inmates to act like the inmates. What their issues will be. Well, what you're talking about, the DOC politics, the DOC bull crap, and just the crap they put their employees through, that is just, it's just unbelievable. And that kind of leads me to the next thing I was wanting to talk. We got maybe 15 minutes. I want to talk about DOC fuzzy math because here's the deal. We don't teach fuzzy math in school, okay? And we probably need to start teaching fuzzy math in school because all of our kids should learn how to be able to interpret government math because it's government math. It's DOC fuzzy math. I understand it because I worked for them for a long time, but I just want to give people examples how DOC has fuzzy math. So recently, DOC come out and they said we dropped retention to 80%, employee retention 80%. Now that's a huge. I mean, to say we got 80% retention rate is huge. Now, why I laugh at that, because at their last board meeting, it's my understanding one of their top executives come out and said we lost 100 employees this month. Yeah, now you're going to lose 100 employees, but your 80% retention. How does that work? How can you even make up a number like that? Throw it on.
because you counted it a year, 13 months ago up to that month, and you're looking at that time.
See, and
That's
that's one of the fuzzy ways. Let me give you another fuzzy way. Went back and looked in 2019, they had 1,736 officers, correctional officers, 736. If you went and pulled today, they say they need 1,530, but they got somewhere around 13, I think. So guess what? They dropped down about 200, and then they're down about 200. Only here's another little factor you got to factor in. They took over a prison there in Holdenville called Allen Gamble. It was a private prison. The state took it over. It has 1,700 inmates roughly. So it takes roughly, they never have it, should take roughly probably 200 something employees or more. And again, here's what's funny. And it should have many of those be officers. So again, we have 1,736. We drop it, or we'll start up here, 1,736. Drop it to 1,550. We're really at about 13, maybe 12 something. Who knows? You can't get a straight answer. But then you should have had 200 more added. So guess what? They just do away with 400 positions roughly. So they just wipe them off. And they say those no longer exist. So now we have 80% retention rate. It's insanity. It's insanity.
But I'll tell you, and Goodyear was like this too. I worked out at Goodyear for 12 years, for almost 12 years. But running shorthanded, and maybe it's just the way the world is now after COVID and everything. But running shorthanded makes it hard. When you're running shorthanded, that means if somebody calls in, you're going to be even more shorthanded. And if you're that shorthanded, look, I will come in on my day off and cover a shift to make you flush, right? But I'm not going to come in on my day off to absolutely get my butt kicked, because even though I'm coming in to help, we're still shorthanded. So now you're not getting in your overtime help, man. Y'all,
Yeah. Well, and here's the problem. If you went back and looked at a case in the 70s, it was Battles versus Anderson. What they showed you was when you drop those levels at the prison, and here's what you're seeing across, and we're seeing this in Trump. You watch politics real well, and you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. I love the new ideal that Trump just started with Musk and the vet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they're going to cut government. But here's what's funny. What we're seeing under Stitt, we're seeing that they do cut some government. But guess where they cut it at? They cut it on the bottom on the services.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We cut these officers, 400 jobs going, but they're officer jobs. And when those are gone, guess what? People get raped, people get extorted, people get ODs, they get murdered. You know, that's what's happening. The inmates are running the house, they running the show. And that's what's going on right now under DOC. Now, where you want to start cutting is the bloated administration that makes things not work. But we hadn't seen that. Oh, he'll make a cut every now and then, fire somebody, and then bring his best friends in that don't have any experience, no knowledge, no nothing. And we have seen cronyism and favoritism and all the other isms like you would not believe under. Hey, I used to have a guy down there in southeastern Oklahoma named Gene Stipe. Gene was famous. We called him the Dark Prince. You know what I'm saying? He was famous for stuff like that. But Gene wouldn't have done half the stuff. These folks that make Gene Stipe blush, I guarantee you, at the stuff they're bringing over, doing. And again, their numbers. Other day, check this out. See if you think this is crazy. So they put body cams on. We lost old Andrew. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay with us. So,
oh well,
he's back. He's back now. Hey, I'm going to stay.
I got a damn phone
Hey,
call.
we're going to plug. We're going to stop right here and we're going to plug. And we want y'all to remember Andrew Hayes, the Alliance. He's going to be coming on. We're going to get you the information. Remember, go to jj4ok.com, jj4ok.com to find out where he's going to be on. We'll try to post all that. But Andrew, here's what they did. They had body cams, putting on these body cams. And so when they put on the body cams, they claim they've got the best Priya, which is I think we lost him again. The best Priya, so you guys stay with me. Best Priya, which is rape. I can't remember what the last one's for. But anyways, it's about rapes. So DOC claims to have the best numbers in the United States on rape, if I'm not mistaken. So they put these body cams on. One of the places they go is to Howard McLeod Minimum Security Prison. One of the best, minimum security. They put the body cams on, and they say by putting these body cams on, we reduced rapes, Prius, by 60%. Well, now, were these guys raping people in front of the officers? I mean, how does putting on a camera on an officer stop rape from happening in the prison? And if you had the best numbers, could you really drop that by 60%? How did they come up with that? That's insanity right there. But those are the numbers that we're getting out of this administration. Prison Elimination Act. Prison Elimination Rape Act. Prison Elimination Act, I think. Yeah, I got to get that, you know. Prison Rape Elimination Act, PREA. There you go. That's what it is. But how would that drop? How would that drop by putting on a body cam? If that same logic worked, then when you put on a body cam on officers, the murder rate at Oklahoma City should drop.
I mean, it's a little bit different. It is, man. You know, a prison isn't a city. I I don't know. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, it's insanity. Here's what's funny, and they got rapes going on every day. They refuse to report them, and they're not reporting them. We've turned them over,
Oh,
turned them over, and
that's
they will
why.
not report them.
That's why, because the victim doesn't want to be on video camera reporting that there's a victim.
Well, and again, here's what's funny. They are extorting these people. It's insanity. The what when I worked there, hey, we might have had rape. We had rapes going on, but it wasn't every day. It wasn't all the time. We tried to stop it. You couldn't stop all of it because some of them guys get yourself off in their own little wreck. You know what I'm saying? And you can't stop all of it. But right now, it's so broad open. I mean, these guys are calling up families and saying, we're going to rape your son or your daughter right here. We're going to rape them if you don't pay us $3,000 a month and stuff. And we got case after case on that. And we're bringing it forward. You can't get anything done. It's insanity what is happening to the Department of Corrections.
That's what I was going to say. I want to throw this out there to you. I'm pretty anti-government. I like the free market, but because the government is doing a job, they need to do it the right way, and we need to be fully staffed. We have an issue down here in Lawton. They don't want to pay the firefighters enough money. Pay the market rate. You're getting outbid by Oklahoma City, by Wichita Falls, Texas,
right.
And we can't keep firefighters because the city won't pay them enough. We're actually paying more because of overtime. You're making the job more dangerous, and on and on. It's the same thing with DOC. We need to fully. I mean, I don't like the whole prison industrial complex. Right? I think if we fail as a free society when we have the highest percentage of people incarcerated in the world. Now, maybe North Korea can beat us out, but Russia doesn't have as many people locked up as we do. Saudi Arabia doesn't have as many people locked up as we do. We have the highest rate in the world of people locked up, and we go around and talk about how we're the freest country in the world. How do you square those two things?
No, here's the deal. I mean, the thing about it is again, you got to say, what are we locking people up for? And I think that was a big question under 780. But, we haven't come up with 780. What do you do with these type of crimes? And I've got all kinds of stuff that doesn't include prison that you can do with those people. And everything in that is put them to work. So if I got to lock you up, I'm not sending you to prison. I'm not sending you to jail. I'm sending you to a little treatment, call it whatever you want, but you're going to learn how to pluck chickens, or you're going to learn, and guess what? You're going to pay for your court costs. You're going to pay for your housing, and then you're also going to pay for yourself so that when you get out, you're not dead broke and you can go find a place to live and that kind of thing right there. And again, you should have to earn your way up to that.
I'd love to talk to you about that later on, but I'll throw this out that work. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a different type, but I enjoy my work, and I think it's weird to make work the punishment. But you go back to the founding generation, and I'm a student of history, so you know what they did for low level offenses is corporal punishment. They'd pull somebody up and stretch them out and whoop them. That's what they did.
Right.
It's said to be cruel and unusual. I guess I don't know why we got away from that, but the idea, some of this stuff, this shoplifting and different things, a fine doesn't make the impact. That's not a deterrent. Putting them in jail for 2 years doesn't make sense either, though. Right? So what do you do with them? And that's where corporal punishment comes in. You give them, 20 lashes, and they're not going to do it again because it's not
Well,
worth it.
and,
And it's
and,
proportional.
and here's the deal you can look at. Now, a lot of people won't like the conversation we're having right there, but you can look at societies that do that, and guess what? Their crime rate is pretty low. And the thing about it is, so there's you have an argument, but most people would say trying to get that instilled would be pretty hard to do. But here's where I'm at: the work is not necessarily punishment. The work is what you find is people who've never been made to work. We got a whole society don't know how to work, don't know anything about work. They haven't had to work. And so again, when you put them to work and they get the benefit of their own, you know what I'm saying? When they start making money, when they have money, when all of a sudden, and old Granny always said, if you run with the dogs, you're going to get the fleas. Well, guess what? That works the opposite. Quit running with the dogs. Let's put you over here working with some guys that will be good for you. So that's what I advocate. But again, nobody wants to hear how to actually reduce or have the conversations that we're having today. Hey, one number I want to throw at you, see what you think. They said they dropped 52% serious incidents, 52%. But their medical went up, if I'm not mistaken, their medical went up $2 million in a month. So guess what? What is it? Here's what's happening. People are getting stabbed. People are getting beaten. People are having to go to medical. Their ODs are going up. So again, they give 52% reduction in all this. But here comes this number of, $2 million that shows your math is fuzzy. So again, I just want to get people aware of the Department of Corrections is lying. Start listening to what you're hearing. Start rationalizing what you're hearing because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to claim 52%, drop and then $2 million more in medical. It doesn't make sense that you're down to 1,200, 1,300. You added a prison with 2. And you're claiming you only need 15 when you should have had 17 before you had it.
And I got a question about that. We went from 1,700 guards to 1,500, and we're not staffed to that level.
Right.
What year time frame is this? Have we not? I know down here because I drove by it a month ago or so. That prison, the private prison, GO, it's bigger now than it's ever been.
Well, absolutely. We've added 5. You make a hell of a great point. We added 5,000 inmates. So during that same period of time, we didn't get smaller. We got bigger,
Right. But yeah. we're and this is what I'm driving at is that we are supervising more inmates today than we were then, but we're doing it with fewer staff. And how is this safe either for the staff or for the inmates?
Absolutely. And before we get off here, we got about 2 minutes. I want to make a point. You're making that. Here's the deal. We had a deal on our side of the state. Y'all didn't get it, but we had a deal called McGirt. McGirt pulled thousands and thousands of cases off the felony docket. Thousands. We had 780. Guess what? That dropped several thousand. We legalized weed. That dropped several. So let's say that we dropped 15,000, and I'm telling you 15,000 would be conservative. So you pulled 15,000 off the criminal docket. Yet what did I just tell you our prison population did during that same period of time? Went up 5. And then Stitt comes out the other day and says, Governor Stitt comes out and says, we've dropped recidivism. Well, now, that's what I'm saying, fuzzy math. Because, again, how can you pull 15,000 off the docket, go up 5,000, and come out and claim we're being successful and we're dropping recidivism? It makes no sense. And I want people to know that's not true. And that means that because those McGirt cases, those 780 cases, guess where they're committing crimes at? Right here in Oklahoma. They're your next door neighbors, still getting crime. We've got to do something to address the crime, be smart on it, what we're talking about, have a great conversation. Now, I'm going to tell you many people what you said a while ago, they jump up and, holy moly, My deal is no, go to other countries, look at that, see their criminal rate. Why can't we have a conversation? If we disagree and we don't want to go that way, great, but we ought to be able to have a conversation.
Well, and here's the thing though, you put a kid, a 20-year-old kid against a post and slap his back 18 times with a whip. The reason that can't happen is there's no money in it, because he gets his whipping and then it's over, right? But there's no money in it for the DA. There's no money in it for the state. All there is short, swift justice.
Yeah,
that's not what anybody's in favor of.
Well, and sadly, a lot of people will not like hearing what you got to say. But if you want to look at it, what we started off with is how they're making money. What we're talking about with DOC, all the contracts and all of that kind of stuff, the private, all of that stuff. Guess what? We didn't even get around to talking about how they hate privatization, but they're privatizing everything. Amazing. So, hey, we've run out of time.
Get me back on here. Let me tell you about why GEO is not privatization. That's not what privatization is. And I'll explain it to you. And it doesn't take that long, but we don't have enough time right now.
Well, we'll have you back, and then hey, I'm gonna jump on your program one of these days if you need somebody just to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But so I'm gonna wrap up if I can.
Sure.
And I'll find my way out of here. Is that I have a group. It's called the Alliance with Andrew Hayes. Join that on Facebook. I think I'm out there on Twitter as the same thing. Andrew Hayes Alliance, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm still figuring it out. It's all brand new. But hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh no, I appreciate last minute, man. You saved my life. Jumped on here. It's been a great conversation. Looking forward to having you back. Look forward to seeing your program. Hey, you guys out there, thank y'all for joining us. Y'all have a blessed day. Remember to catch Andrew on Andrew Hayes Alliance and JJ4OK.com, JJ4OK.com. Y'all have a blessed day. Andrew, you be safe out there.
All right, we'll see you.